Can this young and energetic Green Bay Packers team bring back a chip to Titletown? Find out in their 2024 season outlook. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name's Chase Yance. Back at it again with another video. You guys could like, subscribe, comment to the page. Appreciate all the support that we've been getting. Today in this video, we're going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers, and this team finished 9-8 last season, second place in the NFC North. They made it to the divisional round. We're very close to making it to the NFC Championship game. And they would have took on the Detroit Lions, would have been a really good clash. They started 3-6 last season. They were kind of written off, and then down the stretch, including the postseason, went 7-3, including a huge victory they had in the wild card against the Dallas Cowboys on the road, 48-32, in Jordan Love's playoff debut. They became the first 7 seed to ever win a playoff game since the format expanded in the 2020 season. For the Packers, again, they were a young, energetic team. A lot of expectations were lowered down, and they exceeded them by a great margin. With this offseason, it was pretty big for them to try to capitalize with having Jordan Love on a smaller contract at the moment. The offseason losses that they had, Darnell Savage and Jonathan Owens, 2 safeties that went their respective ways. John Runyon Jr. goes to the Giants. Aaron Jones, the running back, goes over to division rival Minnesota. Devondre Campbell and David Bakhtiari, both veterans on the Packers from last year, got released, and they had to go out and fill some more voids. And the Packers went out and got Josh Jacobs at running back. They signed him to a $10+ million contract, so they got their guy in there. And then A.J. Dillon re-signed, so they have the two-headed monster right there. And then you also look at Keyshawn Nixon. They re-signed him, good kick, punt returner, and also safety on the back end. Xavier McKinney was a huge signing for the Green Bay Packers to try to fill that void. And then Andre Dillard at a tackle position, and then Greg Joseph and kicker. And maybe they're going to have a battle between Andrews Carlson and Greg Joseph. So the Packers, they were able to go out there in free agency and be a little more active than normal. And it's going to set up for a very interesting 2024 season for them. And they've got a lot of expectations and eyes on them. Offensively for the Packers, it starts with quarterback Jordan Love. He made those strides later in the season from Thanksgiving and beyond, and he looked like an elite quarterback in the National Football League. The Packers were successful because of his play down the stretch. You know, with him being able to come along with these young group of receivers, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and the tight ends like Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, this was a tough group to stop in December and January, and you could see why the Packers almost made it to the NFC Championship. He was able, and talking about Love, was able to extend on his ability to be a great passer in the pocket, get out of the pocket, make off-platform throws, just like the quarterbacks before in Green Bay, like Rodgers and Favre. But Jordan Love's development has been pretty good overall, just seeing from one season. If he's able to keep on this incline, the Packers offense is going to be very good this season. And under the direction of Matt LaFleur, who passed those allegations of I can coach a quarterback other than Aaron Rodgers and still be successful, he got a monkey off his back. Now he's got a running game. Josh Jacobs and A.J. Dillon comes back into the fold. If they're able to run the football and try to attack downhill, get play action, and get Jordan Love moving the pocket, and then find these receivers down the field, then the Packers are going to be one of the best offenses in the National Football League. A lot of misdirection with the tight ends, and the receivers were running around wide open last year. Look at the Cowboys game, for example. The Packers, with the amount of young talent and the spearheadedness of Jordan Love, they can really take the league by storm. For this Packers defense, they don't give up a lot of passing yards. They don't let quarterbacks go bananas. They can get pressure on the quarterback. Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, very close to 10 sack guys last season in 2023. But the huge thing for the Green Bay Packers, and I think all of the fans and everyone around the Wisconsin area can agree with this, they have to stop the run to save their lives. Because they were, giving up over 125 rushing yards a game. They couldn't stop a nosebleed, a cold, nothing. They got to figure it out. And that's the main priority. Quay Walker, 118 tackles last year. He's going to have to step his game up even more, along with these other linebackers, like an Isaiah McDuffie, who had to step in there last season. And Edrin Cooper, their second-round pick in 2024, he's going to have to possibly step in and take over in the middle linebacker position. And they're going to have to look deeper into this linebacker room to see who can stuff the run. It also starts at the line of scrimmage as well. I mean, can their guys up front in the interior defensive line get good enough push and be able to stock gaps? If they're able to just limit the run at best, then hopefully they can get some turnovers on the back end. Jair Alexander and then Xavier McKinney, Eric Stokes. There's guys on the back end that are talented, but when you're giving up 120, 130 yards rushing a game, they're just going to keep going back to that bread and butter, and you're not going to see the football in the air that many times. So the Packers, I mean, they got to be able to stop the run. It's pretty simple in that regard. When looking at the Packers schedule, they have to take advantage of the month of September because there are very many favorable matchups for them that they cannot let slip through their hands. They got to manage through October, survive a tough November slate, and then get hot in December. With looking at September, you got the games against the Colts, the Titans, the Vikings. A couple of those games are at home. And then the big one that I want to circle is week 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. You're looking at a team that made the playoffs last year in the Eagles that got better in the offseason somehow, still have all that money. It's not going to be in Philly. It's not going to be in a hostile environment. It's going to be in a hostile environment in Brazil, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be with those rabid Eagles fans in the city of brotherly shove. The Packers are going to be playing on a neutral site. They got to take advantage of this one. If they can come out there and they can get all cylinders going and fire, the Packers could start their season off 4-0, and they can get off to a very fast start and then really build up momentum as the season goes on. When looking at the ceiling, the floor, the sense for this entire thing, if the Packers are able to do that and really get off to a hot start, they could go 12-5 this year. They can make that next step from being a 9-8 football team last year and then having that same core group gel together. And they could win a lot of football games. 12-5 is the ceiling for them. Looking at the floor, 7-10. You don't know, maybe guys take the step back. There's injuries, there's all that stuff. I mean, that's what happens in sports and football in general. I mean, you can't predict that stuff. But again, if the Packers, if stuff falls through, they can't stop the run. They can't run the football. Jordan Love starts turning the ball over, then stuff could go south. But that's the floor for them is 7 wins. But my actual prediction for them, I'd say around 10-7, a 1-game improvement. But I think the Packers will look like an even better football team this season. I think they'll be competing with those higher level teams at a higher rate and beat some of them as well. And it all starts against the Eagles on week 1 down there in Brazil. If the Packers are able to get off to a hot start and they're able to gel together as the season goes on, they could win the NFC North.